This video is sponsored by all my patrons over at Patreon. What's up, everyone that's watching? All the Patreon crew that saw it first. So, this is my track, Mumbles of Grace, released on Gold Fat on, was it October 23rd? I'm not good with dates. Anyway, it was a while ago. I figured I'd go through some stuff, like I normally do. So, if you haven't heard the tune, it sounds a bit like this. Alright, so that's the tune. If you haven't heard it, check out I'm assuming the link in the description of this video. You can go listen to it, among everything else I've ever worked. Public enough. Anyway, so let's just start with the drums. What I normally do. That's what you all come for anyway. All that other stuff matters. It's about the drum and the snare and the lack thereof. So main drum loop, basically this. There's some other different versions. There's loops come in and out. Another version. Little bongo in there. Yeah, very very me. Swingy and all the jokes you're saying to yourself right now. If you check up here, 40% swing, which is, I don't know, 40 to 60 is where I stay at. I don't know, where am I going with that? Anyway, so loop a bit of it. Break it down in individual parts. It looks like a lot, but I don't know what this noise is. Oh, it's if you reinstall vinyl, it just resets all your settings. So good thing that's a drum fill and I don't really care about it. Anyway, loop this section. Always start with kick. Nothing big about that. It's an individual kick. Didn't tell you where it came from. Then you gotta call it the snare clap. That's basically me layering claps and snares. So together, like, you got one layer, another, more snare clappy. Just to get a nice full sound to me. What's this other one? Oh, that's more like the live clap, and that comes in later on. It all layers in. Adds a bit more room sound. It's a bit wider. You take it away. It's smaller sounding. A bit wider. All that good stuff. Going through a drum verb. There's a send, which is that little plate. One of my favorites. Yeah. And it's processed, the way it's processed, they're all together. It doesn't really make too much of a difference, but it's more of a mixing later on. Control, pull it together, put a light distortion, things like that. Transient master's off. You know who's going to make a joke about that. Yeah. So that's no processing other than reverb. Processing. All right, what's going on in there? A little subtle distortion, which is basically saturation at that point. Soft clipping, basically. EQ. This pulls it in, makes it so it's not so wide. Because, yeah, I don't need a really wide clap when there's a ton of other things going on. Transient master's not on. Mix EQ, pulling the stereo field. what this little side band is for. Another EQ. And again, I just like, instead of, you can do all these EQs in like one thing, because you can have like a bajillion bands, but each one is in like a separate stage of mixing. And also just helps me like compartmentalize what I'm doing in a way. It doesn't really use up a ton of CPU, so you can really just stack like 100 EQs if you want it. So that's kick, snare, clap thing. All right, there's this think break group. I think I took that from a different track, and then I just bounced it out and stuck it in here as a little shuffle later on. Let's get where it's actually like busy. So you have the percussion bus, which is all the loops, breaks, things like that. Yeah, and what's that like? That, once a loop. Hi-hat. Shaker. Another shaker. You can already feel it going. Another shaker, more of an accent to accent certain beats. They work together. I mean, it all works together. Yep. Again, just subtle. Why are these so big? There we go. Arranging and bringing things in and out. Having certain beats accented by different percussions, so it feels more like a live kit instead of a smattering of loops on top of each other. Another one, it's kind of gross sounding, but it works in the background. The think break. Nice break. Yep. They're all EQ'd to fit into each other. Basically, it's more of a sound you're going for, so I'm not going to go super detailed in the processing. Just make sure everything has space. There's not too many overlapping things. Like both of these layers work next to each other. You have the accent beats, then you have like these kind of continuous loops going on. And like the think break comes in and out. This one is like, so far it sounds like, and for a bit more, got a ride in there. Mostly I want like a really, for this track, in this context, I want a really washy kind of sound. Like that there. Then we have like the snap. Super compressed, super gross sounding. But that accents certain beats along with a clap. Or against it, really. So you have and over here, what's this pink loop? Oh, that's a bongo loop. Nothing big there. So that's basically everything. So this is all the percussion. Just a bunch of different loops. That's it. It goes into okay, this one's going to drum and reverb, which is up here at the top. I said the little plate. Then it's also going to like a parallel bus, another bus that just widens it. So you take like the BX stereo maker, it just opens up the stereo image a bit. It adds like an extra layer. It's one you're gonna feel, not necessarily gonna pay attention to. Cause let's see if I can actually hear it. Oh, I can hear the difference, but see if you can hear the difference. So this is with it, the wide bus thing. And now I'm gonna do it without it or turn it off. So it's subtle. Like it's very subtle. It's almost like an additional. I don't have what I use a reverb for is for ambience. because it's high pass. There's not a whole lot going up there anyway, but it fills in just that much more. So all together, you get, well, which go snare percussion. And rhythmically, it's moving forward. There's a lot of swing. There's shuffles. There's syncopation. Having some loops come in intermittently instead of just like, but like a kind of like that. It helps add for momentum and interest. And when it all works together, and then you get to this part, rolls a bit more. See, I took out the shuffle because the shuffle adds the more steppy character. So it's kind of like you kind of feel the beat a little bit more. When you go to just consistent loops, forward momentum, that kind of thing, you get rid of the shuffle. That kind of breaks up the rhythm. It's just consistent pushing. And that's when, like, all together you have yeah. So like this whole first section is kind of the baseline motive. Yeah, very rhythmic. And then this section, is basically the B section, I guess, is more of a rhythmic release. So it just kind of sits. There's a bed of sound. That's when all the interplay between piano, the voices, the guitar, the wah-wah, things I'll get to in a second. But that's an arrangement thing, which I'll get to later. But it's breaking up sections, doing things, switching up rhythms. So the bass is kind of the rhythmic focus here. The drums are doing that thing. But then later on, the bass kind of drones on. The drums are like fully on go mode, pushing forward. And then everything else kind of floats in between. That makes sense. So that is the drums. There's nothing else. There's a middle break loop. Ooh. Nothing real, just a drum loop with a bunch of effects on it. It's a feel thing, you know. A feel thing, and it's like a drum feel thing. There you go. Good stuff. Bass. Let's look at that. They're all audio right now, but I'll show you how it done. So I did it. Nothing you haven't seen before. You can see the MIDI note under it. These are all frozen tracks. All right. So bass layering is basically what this is. So you have a sub, right? You get another side chain signal in there. I don't need that right now. Then there's going to be a mid layer, mid bass, moogie sounding to a who was it? High contrast. He said that. Nice, right? Still buzzing about that. Anyway, moog sounding mid bass. And does some like little tricks, which I'll show you in a sec. And this is like not a Rhodes, but like a Wurlitzer from Contact. And if I untransform all these, it should work. Beep, 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 beep. All right, did it just freeze on me? There we go. So bass. Spire. Just We got sine wave, phases off a little bit, so it, get the wobble sound like wrong track. Yeah. Kind of thing you'll fool with. You get the rhythm and you like. And raw, it sounds like, or patched by itself. Basically, there's the distortion and really heavy compression is what this X comp is. Yeah, some distortion to saturate it quite a bit. Saturation, distortions, kind of interchangeable. Saturation is a mild form of distortion. Get out those harmonics there that you can feel. Hey, I have this thing open. Why not I just show you? So you have like the fundamental, right? Which is going to be this area right here. And then the harmonic that you actually, let me just show you over here. So I have it. This is well, let's not pay attention to any of this nonsense up there. But you see, you have this little node. You can barely see. That's the fundamental, the lowest note. Then you have, let me see a little bit. You have like kind of this node up here. So, harmonic. Another EQ. There we go. Now you can really see it. So, fundamental, this big one, harmonics up top. Yeah, and that's what you're looking for. Those harmonics is what give it that upper range and that movement, that big feel on small speakers. Like I can fully hear this sub on like my phone. But I don't hear the sub, I just hear the psychoacoustic feeling of a sub because of harmonics. You want to go there? Another EQ. Why is this stretched out so far? Anyway. Yeah. Trash for saturation. Just to eke it out just a little bit more. On this mid band, little popper, saturate. There's a mix tool because I automate the volume. Another EQ. Now you can see each little harmonic isolated and the fundamental. And that's like the final sub sound. Really, it's just about subtly working it, saturating EQ, things like that to bring out the character in it. Then we got this mid-bass moogie sound, right? Which, automation, but it's it's silent. I was gonna say something else. Obviously it's silent. All I use. Yeah, a patch I made to get that moogie sound. Yeah, some processing. Did I do anything within it? Subtle distortion is overdrive. There's a chorus effect, so it's wider. So mono, wide, that kind of thing. And I see once I take all the plugins off, you see or you hear it has that subby low end. And I could have left that, but to have more control and a bit more weight and added movement of this other sub, it works a lot better to me. So mid-bass processing, we got Camel Crusher, subtle distortion, saturation, like I said, some compression. No big deal. EQing, valve filter Saturn for more saturating. Another EQ, more mixing so it fits into with the other sounds. And endless smile for the reverb deal. Yeah, and all this automation does is just like, that's what that does. So together you got got one more. Can you hear that? The upper harmonics are, they're kind of like humming. Like you have bum 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 bum, but you have bum 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 bum, like a fifth or seventh up a little bit. Then you have this, which is basically, it's a Scarby. I think it's like modeled after like a Wurlitzer, but they can't use that because of branding and licensing, and you know the drill. Nothing big on this, just an EQ. It's a top layer. Bit wider, more stereo. Yeah, no real processing in on the bass bus other than the track spacer, which what helps the kick fit in there. That's where that goes. So that's all the bass. And then it's over here, but this is a copied version of the Rhodes, playing the piano chords. Yep. All together, the drums, bass. Or it's the sub. So see, not a whole lot of sound design magic, and who cares about this plugin and that. It's subtle things. This is the more musical song for me. Everything just has a purpose as of more the instrumentation, more the ideas instead of how it sounds. Like there's very much a vibe kind of song. I think they really push. I think the only thing I really push myself is like the arrangement, all these little bits, things like that, and then the drums. Those took a while to nail, but yeah, okay. So we got the synth pad bus, which is just the melodic bits, which encompasses pads, the lead sounds at the end, and this area. So we have like these little fills that are strings, piano, which is Labs piano. I don't really need to show you that. Everyone has it. Just some EQs and whatnot. This ARP is from Contact. That's me. Yeah, this took a while to nail. See, so very much finding the right sounds and putting them together in a way that they seem like one continuous melodic idea instead of a bunch of different random things. Like they all tie into each other. And they accent the piano. So you have piano is doing its thing. All right, and when you land on that chord, instead of just leaving it by itself, I add yep, and when say okay, now we're here, that bass note, right? Add something there, a vocal, stab. Same thing. I didn't even turn it on. We have, and that little it leads into the chord change or the bass note, which is effectively a chord change. And right there, actually, right there. So, you know how we've been having this like little intro, ding, ding, ding. But I added in the bass now. So I'm moving the voices around and the notes. Again, this is all notes and arrangement. This isn't really a production thing in the sense of technicality. But it's like replacing this. See, it all moves together. I should just have the bass playing. You'll be able to hear it. And right there, I double that in the piano with the pizzicato strings. And it goes deeper, I know. But remember those snaps from earlier? This is where they come into play. So let's put it all together. Actually, all the percussion does. Let's try it now. And then just all together without the pads, actually. So see, there's the bed of the main progression, which is in the bass line, actually like the sub, bass, and the piano. And then when you have, and there's little things here and there that just double certain voices within the chord, whether it's like, it's rhythmically or the actual pitch or within the chord itself. So like you have the pizzas doing this. They're both doing the same thing. But when it lands on that chord, you have another. So it's all about having these bits work together. And it is so difficult. But when you pull it off, and I pull it off. I did. It just, for once, I did. That's why I love this track. But yeah, so let's just kind of hear it together. That's not a good spot, actually. Oh. Neither is that. Where am I in my arrangement? Here we go. Yeah. So hope that gives you a little bit idea of arrangement as well. Again, it's not the simple sounds, bits and pieces I found from sample packs, me recording my girlfriend, not paying attention and telling her to say something. that's literally all it is. There's some string swells. These are basically all samples outside of Lab's piano. That piano is really, really capable. You just have to tweak it. Most of this was played in, but the final sound is me getting in there and tweaking the MIDI notes and stuff because I'm not that good of a piano player. All right, let's move on. Quick stuff. Pads, wires. Yeah. They're just playing the chords of the piano, basically. That's a little better sound. Some strings. Same chord progression, Spitfire, epic strings. Atmosphere, little loop. Let's steal this from Spectre Detector. I think so. It's like the intro to that song is, I think, it's the same sound. But yeah, reduce, reuse, recycle. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's nothing crazy. Atmosphere bits, random sample pack. Oh, this is a unicorda piano. That's what it is. It's doing the exact same thing, but a ton of gross noise. Pad-like texture. In these channels, I didn't use, so. Again, better sound. Something. Yeah. So that's that. Now let's go to the lead section. Basically when these synth leads come in, which are like three silents. I'm not gonna, like, you know what a supersaw is? Trance style, just pick some presets, layer them together, that kind of thing. Yeah, individually sound like crap, but together they still sound like crap. When you play with the Moogie bass, you open that filter all the way up. You get a full sound. Add that Rhodes, not Rhodes Wurlitzer keyboard thing. It's more full. Add the sub in, got some weight. Yeah, again, subtle layering, arrangement things. This is really a texture area when it comes to layering. So a lot of saw wave type sounds, saw square waves, things like that. I want the crunch and the, not rough texture, but I want to say texture to, you know what I mean? Like there's something to it, there's character to it that, you know, balances with the, like, the lushness of the pads. Yeah. So contrast. Yep. What we have left? The drums all together. Yeah, and that's basically the track. This is back half. It's like the B section from before, but like B section part 2. Instead of the piano, it's more the whirly keyboard thing. So again, switching a melodic line from one instrument to another to give it a different feel. Pads a low pass in this section. Were they in the other section? No, a bit more open and airy. So on a technical, like, what are the notes and what's going on kind of level, it's copy pasted sort of, but the instrumentation is switched and the sound is switched. So this back half is more muffled, more muted, subdued. Ooh, good words, because it's the end of the tune. And then the other section, it's more open, airy. You know, things really shine. You can hear every bit of the character in each sound. And this is more like, tune's over, we're going to bed. or next song, you know. This is where you mix into Love Drops by Perspective, which I do every time I play this song, because that's a good tune. And it's in the same key, and that's the homie. And I have a lot of other reasons, but just do that. Yeah, so any other things interesting? 2 or 3 white noise sweeps and a crash. Nothing big about that. Yeah, basically this is just musical ideas. There are 4 different sections. There's this drive section. Not talking about the intro. So you got that introduces basically the main melody. That's like the earworm, you know, and introduces you to the chord progression and the instruments you're going to hear and everything like that. And then it builds. And then you go into like the almost hands in the air, but not quite, like climax. It's airy. It's like all that tension and things were building to this part where it releases and it just like drives forward. Where's the bass? Yeah. Second half of that is more of the same. Then you have this breakdown, which is what you expect the breakdown to be, just kind of relaxing. Building back into it. And you have the big section, which takes the original bassline melody and just changes it, takes the same progression, but varies it a bit, adds a bit more largeness to the sound. I don't know what I was going to say. But this is more combining like the first 2 sections with like how the B section was driving forward, and this A section over here was more dum 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 dum, and then this one's like you're relaxing kind of. So this is kind of like a C section, not pregnant. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of amalgamation of both. Like you get the baseline riff, but you also get the forward momentum going. Again, not a whole lot of shuffles till this back half. So that's getting forward momentum. And then this, while it's still pushing this last like B section 2, it pushes forward. Just in a more subdued tone. So, hope that makes sense. So we got the intro, the here's my ideas, melodicness. You have the little break, but it's still a bit kind of relaxing, kind of a better sound area. You got the breakdown, got a really big climax, C-section kind of thing, where it's kind of all there. Like windows have opened, the sun is shining, blah blah blah. Then you have this more subdued area, like yeah, wasn't that fun? We should do it again. It was good. That kind of thing. And then the outro. Yeah, so that is all together Mumbles of Grace. So let's talk about the name real quick. Go into this. So Grace, more or less, my girlfriend's name, like her middle name, and the sound is just her mumbling. So, Brian, say something. Perfect. Yep. And then like months later, I was like, wait, I could use that. So I stuck it in the track. Basically when it was done. Almost. Then, yeah, named it after her. Joke. And not as a joke. Everything's a joke, you know. My names are always like references to something personal. So yeah, that's Mumbles of Grace out on Goldfat. October 23rd, and it's way past October 23rd, so you can go listen to it. You can buy it. You can stream it. You can watch this video about how it was made. Might be stems on Patreon at some point. I don't know. We'll see what they let me do. Anyway, hope you got something out of this. Hope it wasn't too long. See you next time.